Battle of Verdun is one of the bloodiest battles in human history. It lasted for a grueling 10 months between February 21st, 1916 to December 18th, 1916. It was fought because the French fortress located at Verdun threatened German communication lines, and by capturing the fort, the Germans could severely damage French morale. According to Alexander Watson in his book Ring of Steel, the Battle of Verdun was a French victory and acted as a symbol of French determination and endurance. However, the war damaged the psyche of soldiers and citizens alike on both sides by highlighting the suffering and uselessness of war. All in all, the battle claimed the lives of 300,000 men and had an additional 700,000 casualties, while essentially ending in a stalemate. To understand the battle, we must first address the grander strategy of Germany during the First World War. Erich von Falkenhayn was the leader of the Second German High Command in World War I, and is widely blamed by German historians as a lackluster strategist responsible for losing Germany the war. According to Robert T. Foley in German Strategy and the Path to Verdun, German strategy was rooted in 19th century ideas opposing the strategy of annihilation or quick decisive wars. Falkenhayn believed that strategies of annihilation could not be productive because they would not garner public support. Additionally, Falkenhayn believed that the German army was not strong enough to directly take on the armies of the Triple Entente. Therefore, Falkenhayn practiced warfare by attrition because it would wear the enemy out over time and would maintain the support of the German people. This perception, however, was false. Falkenhayn was in the minority with his beliefs, and because of this, the military leadership and field commander under Falkenhayn failed to train their troops in the most effective ways to utilize his strategies of attrition. Throughout World War I, Germany committed itself to a war of attrition. They were willing to take as many losses as necessary to wear down their enemies, and they took the same approach into the Battle of Verdun. According to Steve Horsley in Contributions of NCOs to Battlefield Success during the Battle of Verdun, 1916, the Germans were initially well prepared to attack Verdun, while the French were ill prepared and unready to defend their lines. This is because General Joffre had prioritized sending troops to Somme for a prepared attack on the Triple Alliance in July of 1916. In a letter from an anonymous French troop, it was detailed that the German offense was on the French front all of February, that no new railroad track had been laid to supply soldiers stationed there, and that the bridges to access German artillery had been flooded, making it almost impossible to launch a counterattack. He relocated troops and resources from Verdun despite reports of potential German attack. On February 10, 1916, General Eyre was commanding the garrison of Verdun with limited troops, supplies, and poor supply lines. The German offensive was initially planned to strike on February 13th, but was delayed due to poor weather, which allowed the French to strengthen their defenses. Prince Ruprecht led the German attack with an artillery bombardment, scout teams, and reserves on February 16th. On February 21st of 1916, the Germans launched a massive military bombardment to capture Fort Douaumont, which ironically was ultimately captured by Sergeant Konzi without firing a shot. According to the aforementioned anonymous soldier, this was because the French were outnumbered 200,000 troops to 60,000 troops. The rest of the battle was characterized by heavy artillery strikes and minimal changing of fronts. For the next 4 months, the two sides were locked essentially in a stalemate until the Germans captured Fort Vaux on June 8th. The battle was looking as a surefire win for the German side, until July 1st, when the Somme offensive began to pull German resources away. On August 28th, Falkenhayn was replaced by Paul von Hindenburg, who ordered all offensive strikes occurring at Verdun to be stopped. With the help of volunteer U.S. pilots flying under the French flag, known as the 124th Squadron, French forces were able to repossess Fort Vaux on November 2nd, and a final French victory on December 15th pushed German forces out, sealing a French victory. The Battle of Verdun teaches two important messages echoed in William H. McNeill's The Pursuit of Power and Dr. Frasetta's lectures. The first of which are how technological innovations change the ways that wars are fought. In World War I, advanced technologies began to come out. There was advancements in aircraft, there was advancements in artillery, there was advancements in firearms, explosives, and the strategy was not there to keep up. This is why we see the horrible conditions of trench warfare, because they were the only way to counter these super explosive methods. There was a bunch of offense without a lot of defense. After this, we see the advancements of defense technologies. We see the evolution of defense technologies and counter artillery to strike projectiles out of the air. These same messages are echoed by both William H. McNeill and Dr. Frasetta. More specifically in Dr. Facetta's lecture when he discussed how Mongol horseback bowmen were the most feared warriors of their time. However, with the evolution of firearms and making them more effective, this grouping of soldiers was made absolutely obsolete because they could not compete with the growing fire and technologies that advancing militaries had in their time. The second message that is discussed in McNeill Facetta's lectures and can be shown by the Battle of Verdun is that it changes the way that people think about war. The Battle of Verdun began an outcry by civilians to end the war as they saw mass casualties, the horrors of what was occurring, for very little gain. Overall, the Battle of Verdun ended in a stalemate with over 700,000 casualties and 300,000 losses, one of the bloodiest conflicts in human history. People, because of this, began to think about what rules people should follow in war, what was acceptable and what was not acceptable. We see these same messages echoed in Facetta's lectures when he discusses the social acceptability of wars. What can be targeted, who can be targeted, and when? Is it acceptable to target women and children? Is it acceptable to engage in total warfare? Is it acceptable to take out the economy? These are all questions we must ask ourselves when thinking about what is proper and what is right in war. Thank you.